I really want it. Only if you want it. Yes, I really want it.
Can I get an eye open up, easy open up, smoking up, much dust like a nut, but
Hey, squad, we out here. We got free food, free water, free face masks. What? We got teriyaki chicken. We got big beef ribs. We got the good. Good squad.
Wait, there are people right here.
How you doing, loved one? All right, no problem. Hey, what's up, brother? How you doing? Good to see you. All right, you remember me, right? All right, G.
There's a Wild West town feeling to this place. Hard to imagine that it sits in one of the richest parts of the world, Silicon Valley. When COVID struck the planet in East Palo Alto, a stone's throw from the headquarters of Facebook and Google, people were fighting for survival.
There's a lot of hungry people out here, you know. All these people in this community that used to be able to afford houses, and then enrolls Facebook, and they're pushing out, incentives for their employees to move here, and it drove the price way up. And you got people living in closets, living in garages, sleeping in cars. They want the land that's here. It very much does feel like we're under an occupation, a tech occupation, Facebook's occupation.
The first time I came to Silicon Valley was to write a book. I wanted to find out what kind of world Google, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, and co. were planning for us. And I came across East Palo Alto, somewhat by chance. A small working-class city surrounded by tech businesses that covet its land, but also a city of resistance fighters.
This is real community. This is a real movement.
I realized that their fight could become ours, a combat against companies with insatiable appetites, as digital increasingly takes over our lives.
That's actually my dog. His name is Beast. He's basically a walking mop. All right, today we're gonna set a new mission to give people the power to build community to bring the world closer together. And if enough of us work to build community and bring people together, we just might change the world. Thank you.
Change the world, build community, bring people together. We've heard these promises from big tech bosses thousands of times, and a lot of us wanted to believe in them. But for the people of East Palo Alto, they leave a particularly bitter taste in the mouth.
Hola, hola.
Buenas tardes, ¿cómo están?
Les traigo un flyer, pero ya me conocen, soy Laura Rubio. Bueno, el joven Antonio, él es uno de nuestros concejales y hoy venimos a hablarles de la medida L. Tenemos que proteger a nuestra ciudad. Sobre todo hay que evitar que nos desplacen a nosotros, que nos corran a nosotros por los precios tan altos y que vengan personas de fuera a vivir. Tienen diferentes intereses a los de nosotros.
Esta medida que si se pase va a crear un fondo para ayudar a los inquilinos con la renta, contra el desplazamiento y pues más que nada pues que se quede nuestra gente aquí en East Palo Alto.
What's happening today is a new chapter in the gold rush. Nobody has ever shown any interest in the city, but today it contains some last available building plots, and they're still inexpensive for the area, enough to whet the appetites of real estate developers and the tech giants.
This area of the city is what's going to be the Ravenswood Business District area. It's such a huge piece, the city, that's why it matters so much. Whatever they built there is gonna have impacts for generations to come. So tonight, City Council, East Palo Alto City Council, the folks who we voted in to represent us, are gonna be talking about how much they wanna build, what they wanna build, how much of it they wanna build in this area of the city. And it's gonna be, again, a whole lot of office space that none of us really use or visit.
The first place I visit on this trip is Yucca, a grassroots community organization run by young people in the city. In 2007, Yucca managed to shut down a hazardous toxic waste plant which was polluting some of the city's districts. Today, the enemy has changed in scale. It's no longer a plant, but multinationals with unlimited budgets and influence.
We're truly up against giants like Facebook, like Amazon. If we let these tech companies swallow up our community and swallow up our history and our legacy without having it told, we run the risk of having it erased. And we know what happens when that history is erased. It's like we were never here.
Would love to welcome everybody to today's study session for the City of East Palo Alto.
We can see very easily the direction that this is going, which is office is the hot market right now.
Estamos realmente preocupados por la cantidad de pies cuadrados de construcción en oficinas debido a la inmensa presión que ejercerá en las viviendas, el medio ambiente y nuestras calles en términos de tráfico. Necesitamos que aumente y estudien dónde se pueden construir viviendas adicionales.
Ahora, perdón, muchas gracias, pero...
Sí.
Gracias.
Sí, gracias.
Laura is one of those left out of the Silicon Valley dream. One of the humble workers indispensable to the system, but whose voices are never heard. Most of them are illegal immigrants and prefer not to speak out for fear of losing their jobs or being expelled from the United States. Laura is in the same situation, but I soon discover that she's not one to keep quiet.
Yo pago $1,200 de renta. Los nuevos residentes pagan $2,200 por un estudio. Yo solo sé que tengo dinero para pagar mi renta y la gasolina. Yo llegué a East Palo Alto en el 2002 con mis dos hijos. Mi niña de 2 años y mi hijo de 8 años. Pasó al principio, yo no tenía dinero ni siquiera para llevar a mis hijos a comprar una hamburguesa de $1 al McDonald's. Es completamente diferente a East Palo Alto. Mira cuánto espacio para construir. Mucho espacio para construir y nosotros somos tan pequeños.
It's almost like a bad comedy sketch. These two worlds that are so close to each other. It doesn't make it in Hollywood, it doesn't make it in TV shows, but in a matter of a couple exits, you can see completely different neighborhoods, different stories.
I'm gonna say hi. Whoop, there he goes. Whoop. Oh, he's crazy.
And the biggest struggle that we have as the people who grew up here all their life is trying to afford to stay here. I never envisioned being a politician or part of city leadership. I came back from studying abroad at Oxford for 2 years, and I see the level of poverty, I see the level of displacement. I think it just woke me up.
At 28 years old, Antonio has just been elected to the East Palo Alto City Council. By day, he studies at Stanford University, which forges the executives of big tech and was the birthplace of Google. In the evening, he slips into his councilman's suit and defends his neighbors against those he rubs shoulders with during the day. a rare profile balancing between two worlds.
Because I'm a son of Mexican immigrants, but also as someone who's lived and breathed this city for all my life. It is my job to defend the people who can't advocate for themselves.
Jaden, you guys can also grab drinks from the fridge if you want. Oh, I don't know if Grandma lets you have soda. Mama Laura.
Ok, niños. Mañana. Coman, porque ahorita los voy a poner a trabajar como huerfanitos. ¿Quién quiere ser héroe de la comunidad? ¿Tú también? ¿Y qué vas a hacer cuando seas héroe de la comunidad? ¿Salir y tocar puertas y defender a los vecinos? ¿Sí? ¿Quién sabe cómo pegar un papel en otro papel? Ya lo hicimos. Somos ricos con ustedes. Bien fuertes, ¿ok? Bueno.
I better understand Laura and Antonio's fighting spirit and the militant DNA of East Palo Alto when I look into the city's history. A city born of a fight, led by the civil rights movement and Black Power.
Land is power. Power is land. Black power is the black man in control of black land.
Bob Hoover knows all about the subject. He witnessed everything firsthand.
I'm 89 years old, and I've been in East Palo Alto since 1959. When I got here, the only place you could buy a property on the peninsula was here and in East Menlo Park. And so that created a community that was very much like the community that I was raised in the South, where everybody black had to live in the same location. That's probably the only picture I have with me in a tuxedo and a suit. 5 or 6 months after I'd moved here, a gentleman named Ed Becks was recruiting people to join him to try to fight the surrounding cities. The city of Palo Alto had taken land that belonged to East Palo Alto. So Ed Becks realized that we were losing valuable land. And Ed said, we need to become a city so we can control our own destiny, not depend on somebody else to make decisions about what your quality of life was going to be.
We've got to build a power so strong and so powerful that nobody will ever mess with a black man again anywhere in the world.
It took us 20 years from the time that we started until we actually became a city. Even though we are a very small community, we did become a major player as far as the struggle of black people are concerned. And those lessons that we learned in the 60s are still applicable today.
You miss me, baby, here I come.
J.T. Faraji inherited this history and militant culture. As a child, he campaigned with his mother for East Palo Alto to be awarded city status. Today, he's accompanied by his daughter as he defends the city's independence and refuses to compromise with big tech.
Growing up here, East Palo Alto primarily was suburban, but also very rural. It was very common to see black and brown horse people riding through the streets of East Palo Alto. And it's still an identity that we hold on to, but with gentrification, you see it a lot less than you used to. I remember it was a different kind of relationship that we all had with each other, even on the other side of the freeway. It was much more of a community feeling. Now, on the other side of the freeway, where Mark Zuckerberg lives, I watched it go from a very hippie-esque, love your neighbor kind of a place to a place that was much more oppressive. You know, as Silicon Valley boomed, the racial disparities increased, the wealth gaps increased, the tech industry doesn't hire a lot of black people, so it changed a lot.
Since my first trip to East Palo Alto a few years ago, Amazon has moved onto the edge of the city. Its arrival was traumatic for the inhabitants.
Tonight, residents chanted outside Amazon's new office space in East Palo Alto. JT Faraji is upset Amazon won't give locals a shot.
Why won't you let us come to the plate and swing at the ball?
Before its move, Amazon refused to comply with the city's first-order hiring policy, which requires all new businesses to employ 30% of its personnel from within East Palo Alto. For Amazon, it was take us or leave us. City Hall yielded, and the population felt betrayed.
There is no question in my mind that Amazon came in and, if I can be frank, treated this almost like a colony. If you don't actually integrate and incorporate our perspectives, our voices, our talent into these corporations, to me, you're a colonial power.
Antonio was elected to say no. But since his election, he has understood that things aren't that simple. The city needs money, and money is brought in by real estate developers. But how does he reconcile real estate projects, local growth, and defending the inhabitants? Antonio is searching for his path.
As a kid, my mom and I always say, oh, let's go see the houses up here. It was always something for us to look at and marvel at and to, really be impressed by it. It makes you understand where we could be. We're gonna meet up with a council member named Ray Mueller. He's a council member for the city of Menlo Park. He's been there for quite some time.
Menlo Park is the city that neighbors East Palo Alto. More importantly, it's home to Facebook, now Meta, and is nicknamed Facebook City. The company ceaselessly enlarges its installations, purchases new land, and constructs, at its own expense, infrastructures that the city is lacking, a form of generosity that raises Antonio's interest.
Yeah, and I think there's a way of having it, but I do think, man, it's so weird. I feel like I'm being reared in a political environment that is so divided. And I think there's a way you can meet people in the middle, especially in the council meetings, to be honest, man. I try to be like, all right, let me try to find my niche. And I'm sure Menlo Park, man, you have, just because of the economic breadth of the city, that buy-in.
They're buying in.
So how do you have that buy-in from a community? And I know you guys had the now Meta groundbreaking ceremony for the community center in Bellhaven. That was huge, a couple Saturdays ago, huh?
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, it was really big. Yeah, Meta, we were really fortunate to partner with Meta. They're building with us a new community campus there, and it's going to have a full-service aquatic center.
Yeah.
Right. And so, you can see that there are benefits to working with development.
Yeah.
You start talking to people about issues that matter to them.
That's right.
And how how this can actually affect that in a positive way. And then people will say, okay, this is something that's going to make sense for my family, for my kids.
It's not that I'm advocating for enormous development, but just to say sober fact, this is a new era, and we never dreamt of this. And I haven't met with Meta representatives, but to me, it kind of gives us these glimmers of hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I have to give Facebook credit. We told them that we needed a plan that really works for Menlo Park. You know what? They listened, and now the plan's good. It's really good.
Although Meta is the great benefactor of Menlo Park, and the fairy tale appears to have a happy ending, there's nonetheless a flip side. The gradual privatization of all public services, like sporting facilities, schools, and libraries. Meta, like so many other companies in the region, can also count on its philanthropic organization, which finances a number of projects that are beyond all democratic control. Little by little, big tech is forcing its way in everywhere.
Right here in Palo Alto, Menlo Park, you got some of the most oppressive cultures and the most oppressive systems that you're going to come in contact with.
Facebook is funding Menlo Park Police Department, which, a stone's throw away, our borders touch. And now it is very common to see Menlo Park police sliding through our neighborhoods.
Y'all should be ashamed of yourself. And you know better. You're from East Palo Alto. You know better. Come on now. You know better too, black man.
Personally, I would just love to know if he's following people to their house and it has nothing to do with an investigation.
Cops racially profiling people, planting evidence on people, falsely arresting people, abusing people. It's a strategy on gaining control over this area.
One reason that big tech wants to increase its influence is to house its ever-growing number of employees. For the real estate developers, there's money to be made, and any means are okay for them to make it. Their interest has recently shifted to Laura's neighborhood. They plan to demolish and reconstruct a vast lot of apartment buildings with moderate rents. According to them, to renew the area, when in reality, it's to attract new, wealthier inhabitants.
Buenas noches al concilio, mi nombre es Osmin Hernández. Mi preocupación es que si llegan a hacer el nuevo edificio, pues magnífico, pero hablan de requisitos de calificar. Yo trabajo de jardinero, nomás gano $22 la hora. No especifican cuánto va a ser el precio de los nuevos apartamentos. Entonces yo, lógicamente que yo no voy a calificar o no voy a alcanzar a pagar esa renta. Entonces es lo que yo quiero que la ciudad tome en cuenta.
Gracias.
Muchísimas gracias.
Peter, to start with, just a comment. Just from having heard the community, I understand that there's been a lot of rounds with, by the developer, and yet there's a missing trust factor. I think we can talk about the pros and cons all day, and I think there's plenty of pros here.
Si Antonio aprueba este proyecto, nos vamos a mandar directito la M con mayúsculas, subrayado y en negritas. Si aprueba este proyecto.
Just trying to find a way of unifying and building a bridge between that.
Unifying and building bridges is probably easier said than done, especially since COVID once again revealed the true face of tech. When I met up with Laura 8 months later, COVID was still prevalent.
Junior, tú vas a ser el número 1. ¿Quién quiere ser el 2?
Yo.
Ok. Jaden, ¿lo puedes poner hacia abajo? Mira, también aquí.
When their offices stood empty, big tech promised to save their subcontractors' jobs, such as cleaners and cafeteria cooks. They were finally dismissed in their thousands. In East Palo Alto, paying rent on time has become difficult and threats of eviction have increased. Measure L, the creation of a fund to help tenants in hardship, has become an urgent priority.
Hola, buenas tardes. ¿Cómo están ustedes con su renta? ¿Si pudieron pagar su renta ahorita en tiempos difíciles de COVID? Los sábados hay un programa en San Mateo donde ustedes van y les regalan ropa.
It's really heartbreaking to have parents come in here and say, like, hey, I need to pay my rent, so I haven't been buying my kids shoes this whole past year. The potential for an eviction tsunami in East Palo Alto is extremely scary.
¿Cómo está usted con la renta? ¿Están bien? Ok, perfecto.
While Laura and Ophelia struggle to help hard-up inhabitants, Antonio seems to be more composed and banks on the ability of all parties to adapt. Words that echoed the dominant narrative in the region.
When the pandemic first hit, I immediately felt like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And so I've decided to cut here outside where people would feel more safe and things would be more safe.
Right.
And I was really surprised because a lot of people were open to it.
Instead of being in the dumps or negative, you're like, I got an opportunity. Like the light bulb came out. Yeah. You know, that says a lot about just your hustle, like your innovation.
Sure.
And how we as a people, we pivot, we adapt. You know what I'm saying?
To whatever.
To whatever.
To whatever.
The circumstances may be.
Yep. When we first moved here in the 70s, it was, I don't remember seeing no other race here but black. It was like 100% black.
But when white folks start moving in, you're like, oh.
What's going on?
What's going on? Like I remember.
What's going on?
I remember 3-4 years ago, it was the first time I saw a white girl jogging down the street. Like casually. And it's not a big deal. Like people can jog, but I just never saw it, bro.
Yeah, sure.
I never saw it growing up.
Sure. It's not something we're used to seeing at all.
And
you know, if you've seen a white person running through East Palo Alto back in the day, they're running from someone.
This is the most dangerous neighborhood in America. Not Washington, D.C. or Detroit or Los Angeles, but a small California town, East Palo Alto.
The reason East Palo Alto still has a bad reputation today is that in the 1990s, it was the murder capital of the United States. A rundown ghetto left to its own devices, which had to depend on the bravery of its inhabitants to halt the downward spiral. Bob Hoover and Bill Vines were on the front line in this fight.
It is not comforting to see a young man remains just lying in the street. A young man that you spoke with the day before.
These children live in a city so dangerous, the superintendent of schools made a shocking proposal. Buy burial insurance for every child in town.
It was like a funeral damn near every other week in this community. It was killing us.
The police were not able to give us any relief, but we were not going to be deterred from taking back our city.
There was a group of us, there were about 20 men, and we decided we needed to do something. We called ourselves Just Us, and we said, you know, if we're gonna save our community, it has to be us, so it's just us.
I got your picture, I don't need your license plate number.
And we started going out on the streets where these kids were selling drugs, so we'd see a drug sale, and we'd call the police.
For us, it was a matter of who runs the city. Young persons that are misguided or the men of the city.
By end of the 90s, we were beginning to get control. We learned that no matter how difficult the situation is at the present time, you can change it.
The inhabitants of East Palo Alto regained control of their city. But in a twist of fate, real estate developers replaced the drug dealers. An era of gentrification had begun. New, wealthier people started replacing the worst off.
¿Qué le gustó, jefe? ¿Qué le damos? Ahorita le digo el precio. ¿Es this one? $40 for you. En especial for you. Apoyen a pagar la renta porque los precios en esta área están carísimos.
35.
Este es tu único trabajo.
Ahorita sí.
Para sacar a tu familia adelante.
Apenas me metí a un restaurante para ser bartender.
Mi hijo tiene 28 años, es padre de 5 niños. Vivía en East Palo Alto, pero los precios tan altos hicieron que él se tuviera que mudar a otra ciudad.
¿Vas a probar su bistec enchilado?
Sí me siento un poco preocupada porque pienso que está sobreviviendo. A otros sazones porque tu mamá ya no cocina. vienen a ver, o sea, para sacar para la renta. Es lo que... Hi. Hola. Hi. Entonces, no sé si es interesada en apoyarnos en esta medida. Bueno, vecino.
I've heard dozens of stories like that of Laura's son. Parents who have moved their families out of town, having lost their jobs, or who are forced to commute more than 100 miles to come to work here every day. That's the flip side of the Silicon Valley model, when you're not amongst the winners.
Hizo algo que no debía hacer. ¿Qué fue lo que hizo?
Todo el fin de semana trabajé caminando, yo sé.
Respire. Vamos a hacer una tensión ahí. Está tenso. Muy bien. Tengo que engañarla porque si no, no me deja hacer el movimiento.
Como todos los hombres.
When I next catch up with Antonio a few days later, he's meeting with a certain Mark Dinan.
Hey, Antonio. What's good, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for... It's been a while.
Mark Dinan is a tech headhunter who has settled in East Palo Alto. He's running for election to the city council and has big ambitions for the place.
When I was 28, I was living in a community where I could walk to a cafe, I could go out for a bar, there'd be live music at local establishments, and you have to leave East Palo Alto to do all that stuff right now, and that's not right.
A lot of politics is perception.
Yeah.
And part of the change making that we have to do is bringing people to understand the limited resources we have.
I think one of the reasons why I'm running is we need leadership that's looking forward, not looking backwards, not trying to freeze East Palo Alto in time. And also, you know, working with developers to bring things that the community needs and wants into the city.
That's how you meet the moment. You know, honor the past, right? But also adapt to the new.
You know, change is hard, but that change is happening anyway. It just is, if we build more housing, we're going to have less displacement. Because if you don't build housing for that Facebook engineer, they're going to buy a house in the gardens and displace everybody there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark, to me, is somebody who he understands the infrastructure, he understands economic development, but also with a heart for the city.
¿Cómo? No, es un traidor. No,
Sí,
no
es
solo,
un traidor.
No solo...
Porque nosotros lo apoyamos y ahorita nos traicionó.
Él dice lo que él piensa que queremos escuchar, pero se voltea y apoya a gente que ni ha estado aquí en East Palo Alto por más de, yo no sé, los que como que vienen llegando nuevos a la comunidad y tienen prioridades diferentes.
Exactamente.
Yo entiendo que como un oficial público tienes que escuchar todas las voces, pero al fin del día, ¿cuáles son tus valores? ¿Cuáles son tus prioridades de Antonio López?
The world's on fire, the devil's out of his hole. How much silver to sell your soul? The world's on fire, the devil's out of his hole. Tell me how much silver to sell your soul? Tell me how much silver to sell your soul? Oh yeah.
You don't end up walking a lot back here unless you live here. And look at the conditions of the road.
So obviously this hasn't been repaved. It's interesting how they only repave main streets. So see, that part was repaved. What about this side?
The level of chaos in East Palo Alto is impressive.
Soy Marta Barragán y él es Mark Dinan.
Tenemos que traducirlo a español, pero
Sí, sí.
Okay.
Sí, entonces estamos...
I'm currently running for city council. I started getting involved when there was a homeless encampment over my back fence. It was pretty outrageous what was going on because we weren't enforcing the law. And so the campaign is working to bring positive change to East Palo Alto. So there is a flyer for us. There's an election. Better roads, safer streets, parks, all the quality of life issues. Good. You have our vote? You have our vote?
In a few weeks' time, the elections will take place in East Palo Alto, and Mark Dinan's name is on everybody's lips. Having a tech entrepreneur on the city council would be a first. His program is clear: to open the city gates to businesses and developers.
I definitely represent a threat to a lot of the people who live here. I think we need to work with developers, make sure that they check all the boxes of not displacing people. But if they do that, let's get out of the way and let them build. And you have leaders in East Palo Alto that are lying to the people and making them scared. That's all they have. And Antonio is a very, very smart guy. I mean, we see things similarly. You know, I'm thrilled to have his endorsement. We can actually get stuff done to move the community forward.
Supported by Laura and the most disenfranchised inhabitants of the city.
Buenos días. Estoy corriendo otra vez para el City Council.
¿Ah?
Estoy corriendo para el City Council.
Oh.
So, sí. ¿Usted puede votar o conoce gente que vota?
Okay.
¿Sí?
Sí.
Ok.
Ándale.
Gracias. Bye.
At over 70 years old, Ruben Abrica is the antithesis of tech. He's not on social networks and has only $2,000 to run his campaign. He's something of a rarity in the area, one of the last people to stand for democracy and public services in the face of the power of the digital giants.
I run a lot of campaigns, maybe about 10. The biggest change that I've seen is the fact that so much money has been put into campaigns recently. It means that it's going to be the people with big money that will control the city. When we were looking at development size, one of the candidates said, do it all, 5 million square feet, like 6 big towers, 10 floors. And for a small community, that's monster development, I call it, without any thinking about the impact it would have and how, even if they gave a lot of benefits, it would displace a lot of people. It would be like another Facebook in a way.
If Mark Dinan wins, it will be a victory for tech, and the city will take the same path as the rest of the region. Businesses as far as the eye can see, execs stuck behind their screens, at the office and at home, and collective life reduced to zero. Because that's the model that Silicon Valley offers, here and elsewhere, a fragmented, hyper-individualistic society where community no longer matters.
Yeah, I need to clean this shit out. It got me used to living out the trunk. I take care of people with developmental disabilities, mental disabilities, some physical disabilities. I'm blessed to still be out here, still be in it, still be alive. I grew up in a time where we wasn't even expected to make 21 years old, you know what I'm saying? Beside the poverty, shit, I had a great childhood, you know what I'm saying? I had friends, I had partners, I was able to live my life, I was able to run the streets and learn, you know?
Jacket and Capone collaboration is too deep. Bitch niggas stay in your house and sleep. I keep that 4/5 tucked in my coat. Bitch niggas won't test AD. That black steel whiz ain't to bet your throat. OG call.
Ad Capone is a local legend. With his rap group Totally Insane, he described daily life in East Palo Alto when it was still undesirable. He has made the city well known across the globe.
My last words was, fuck all y'all and I'll be back. I came back with 2 AKs and 2 Macs.
He also embodies the city's creative energy, which sadly seems to be fading today.
I'm from the small town cemetery, a backstreet boy.
It's nothing. 4 o'clock in the afternoon, though. Ain't no should be kids all over. We used to be thousands of us out here fucking tearing shit up. You know what I'm saying? Nowadays, everything is designed to keep you in the house. video games, you got 200 channels. They designed the world for people to get out the street. Back then, it was go outside, go do something.
Right.
Get out my house, boy, quit looking at me. Go out there and play.
Right.
You ain't got no friends, get your ass up out of here.
The whole environment changed.
Yeah, the whole city changed. Once Facebook and Amazon moved in, city council wasn't telling us that Facebook was on its way. Shit.
They just popped up like a bush of grass.
Oh yeah, by the way, Facebook coming up next week. Goodbye. These are the two biggest companies in the world. When they come, they bring in the whole fucking way of life with them.
Good job, Mark.
Since learning that Antonio is supporting Mark Dinan, the candidate for big tech and real estate developers, Laura and her neighbors have been fuming. Pressure from the developers is swiftly mounting, and they risk losing everything.
Yo quiero pedir a Antonio López. Goodland, con amenazas, logró que muchas familias se fueran. 72 ya se han ido o se han movido, no porque quieran, sino porque les engañaron y les dijeron que el proyecto ya estaba aprobado.
Como dice Marisela, por ciertas cosas han puchado a estas familias de que se vayan. Entonces tenemos que ser solidarios con estas familias, tratar de buscarlas y que tengan el derecho de regresar.
Yo soy primera generación para mi familia. Tengo 4 hijos, una esposa. Gracias a Dios todos están en escuelas, universidad y todo. Pero tengo 35 años viviendo en ese apartamento. Quieren hacer aquí un edificio de 7 pisos. Es ridículo. Para que hoy vengan y me digan que van a tumbarnos, que nos quieren reubicar, que te mandan no sé a dónde. Entonces la ciudad tiene que parar eso, por favor.
I should make it clear, guys, I don't set the agendas. Like, I just get what I receive from the mayor, vice mayor. I don't call the shots in terms of, oh, I want this to be on that date.
Do you get to vote?
Yeah, I get to vote.
Has Antonio realized that in supporting Mark Dinan, he's been on the wrong track and has betrayed his people? It's hard to say.
He imaginado 2 o 3 veces mi vida fuera de East Palo Alto y pienso que no sería lo mismo. En otras ciudades no siento que haya mucho la conexión con la comunidad. El estar detrás de una computadora por mucho tiempo te hace ser un poquito más insensible. Hay una gran desconexión con la humanidad.
A few days later, I catch up with Ruben and the other candidates at the local election campaign meet. There's something of a festival feel about things, a community gathering, symbolic of what the citizens want to save.
She said, don't feel sorry for me. Don't feel sorry for me, honey. But these last $2, I'm not gonna lose. These last $2 ain't gonna lose. Oh, for my bus fare.
No me parece justo. Primero nos dan una mesa a última hora. Don Carlos, bueno, yo hablé y me dijeron, no sabemos dónde está tu espacio. Y después llega Amy y con su perfecto inglés le ponen una mesa. No, pero por lo menos tenemos ya conseguí una decoración, aunque sea del enemigo.
¿Cuál enemigo?
Goodland Apartment del Diablo.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing today? What a beautiful crowd. I've been born and raised East Palo Alto for 28 years. So I'm going to teach y'all a little bit about the history of East Palo Alto through spoken word. So thank you very much for listening. 83 year we became a city, as in ancestors still with us.
I think it's easy for people to not see the humanity in someone that they disagree with.
No in Rome, but Romic with what
Poetry allows me to see other people's humanity while they may sometimes forget mine. If they just see me as a talking head, as opposed to someone who grew up his whole life here and wants to see it better. Poetry allows me to make sense of the good and the bad.
As and repeat after me. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Thank you.
The elections are approaching, and the face of Ruben Aberca could make way for that of Mark Dinan on the City Council organogram.
This is this year's 7 candidates for East Palo Alto City Council. Mark Dinan, you will speak next.
Hi, good evening. You deserve a city with safe streets, available parking, and sidewalks. You deserve a city with much more housing, and it should not take 4 years to approve a new apartment building. You know, we strongly reject the notion that development on empty lots will lead to displacement. So I'd ask you, this November, vote for a better East Palo Alto and Mark Dinan for City Council. Thank you so much.
Se te acabó el tiempo.
Development, it needs detail and concern and not just helter-skelter, throwing a building here, throwing a building there. Look at that Amazon building. That is so stupid. And they're going to build another one across the street.
Okay. Ruben, perhaps you have something to say on this?
Well, I want to remind all of us of some statistics. 60% of our residents are renters. 20% are protected as a result of the rent stabilization law, which protects people from being arbitrarily evicted and from increases in rent. It is the 20% or so that I think need our compassionate and constructive approach to protect them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Minister and Coach.
My father, for 25 years, he was a waiter. I have very vivid memories of him sneaking us into Sunday brunches, and we'd have to pretend not to know who he was. He'd serve us orange juice. So he really made the most of it.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, as a kid, you grow up, and you see that you've been given the short end of the stick by society. And there's these structural issues that you don't have the language for, but you grow up with. I would love to help spark people to believe they can fight back.
Antonio and Laura haven't run into each other for several months. They've been on different paths. Today, Laura has invited Antonio over to speak her mind.
Estamos un poquito decepcionados porque estás apoyando a dos personas que no estamos de acuerdo en cómo nos han tratado, nos han dicho que somos inquilinos delincuentes. Así como yo te apoyé en tu campaña, me siento dolida porque apoyaste a estos que nos ofendieron. O sea, así como yo te lo estoy diciendo, así me gusta decir las cosas.
Sí. ¿Sabe qué, Laura? Siempre en la política va a haber desacuerdos.
Sí va a haber desacuerdos, pero nos tenemos que defender.
Y yo a lo personal siempre voy a respetar a esta comunidad, y especialmente los inquilinos.
Nosotros queremos que tú, que tienes el poder, que eres concejal, que tú les hagas ver a las demás personas la realidad que estamos viviendo. O sea, el desplazamiento ya ocurrió, el crimen existe. Es que entiendas la gravedad del problema y pues que estés de nuestro lado.
Y estoy bien agradecido y bendecido que tomaron el tiempo para compartir sus perspectivas y sus verdades conmigo. Porque yo puedo leer cientos de páginas de póliza, pero no hay nada que se compara a una persona diciéndome lo que le afecta, cómo se sienten de un proyecto, el temor, la emoción. Cuenten mi apoyo, guys, en serio.
Gracias.
No, ustedes.
Gracias por tomar.
Antonio, nada más, te espío ese día.
Algo, a ver. Si quieres, siéntate al lado conmigo, luego pisa mi pie cuando digo algo más. Que me ponga un collar.
El link de Zoom y pues ya.
Si quieren, voy a su casa y hacer la junta ahí.
Antes veía la política de otra manera, como a todas las personas que aplicaban, yo los veía como, uy, qué grande, me gustaría tomarme una foto con ellos. Pero cuando empiezas a hacer activismo, a trabajar con la comunidad, tú te vas dando cuenta en este transcurso quiénes realmente están trabajando para apoyar a los más vulnerables. ¡Saliste bien!
¡Ey! Eres buen fotógrafo.
Y ahora, honestamente, que veo la lista de las personas que están aplicando, dije, a lo mejor el siguiente año lo hago yo.
Laura as a future mayor of East Palo Alto, it would make a great story. And I must say that while filming her, I can easily imagine it. As I leave the city, its fate is yet to be sealed. Far from it. But the inhabitants have won several battles. Measure L, designed to help the worst off, passed with a big majority vote. Ruben Aberco was re-elected to the city council and will continue to defend the disenfranchised. The tenants in the West District will not be forced to move home. East Palo Alto remains the last town, an exception in Silicon Valley, the last city to stand up to the giants of tech.
Yeah.